In recognition of Memorial Day, this show serves as a tribute to military heroes. The Sunday prior to Memorial Day, volunteers throughout the state go to Florida National Cemetery to honor those who are interred there in recognition of Memorial Day. They place small American flags in front of every headstone, read the veteran's name aloud, and thank them for their service and sacrifice. This was all part of Flags for Fallen Vets, and take a look at what happened last year.
Captain James W. Lewis, United States Army. Thank you for your service and sacrifice. Do this one flag for every line of columbarium.
It's always very moving. It's hard to do for me because you get teary-eyed as you're remembering these vets.
It's humbling.
And awe-inspiring also.
Yeah. See all the names and how young people were.
I have a stepson who passed away in the Persian Gulf, and my son is a 9/11 firefighter, and it just meant so much for me to be here and do this for all of these veterans.
The number of World War II veterans are quickly dwindling, and many of those veterans are not taking full advantage of the burial benefits offered to them following their service. More than 63,000 World War II era veterans are interred at Florida National Cemetery in Bushnell, which is less than an hour from the Villages. Nearly all veterans, except those dishonorably discharged who have completed their required period of service, are eligible to be interred at no charge at any VA cemetery. For Village of Hadley resident and World War II veteran Bob Beal being buried at Bushnell, that means he will be buried with his buddies, along with his wife someday. He describes this as a camaraderie that is instilled in soldiers in boot camp. The burial benefits include a gravesite at any national cemetery that's open to burials, perpetual care, a government headstone or marker, a burial flag, and a presidential memorial certificate. There is no cost to the family or estate for those services. Spouses and even some children of veterans are also eligible to be buried at a national cemetery. Staff at Florida National Cemetery know there is a large number of veterans in this state that do not know about this benefit, which is why they do so much outreach. After this short break, villagers honor the legacy of some special veterans.
You're here to have fun, lots of fun. We're Lake Nutrition Center, your health food store. We offer vitamins, supplements, immune boosters, gluten-free and plant-based options that will support your health. We're here to help you feel better, sleep better, manage your stress of those pickleball tournaments, navigate the traffic circles, and help you with your golf game. We look forward to meeting you and helping you stay healthy and have more fun.
G50, G50.
B15, bingo! In your face, Earl!
She said G50. I got bingo.
When you have hearing problems, it's the little details you miss.
We can help. Take our 7-day free trial. In your face, Earl.
Elite Hearing Centers of America. From hearing problems to hearing solutions.
March 25th is National Medal of Honor Day, and last year at Florida National Cemetery, they held a special dedication ceremony to honor the 4th Medal of Honor recipient, Dwayne Dewey, who was recently interred at the cemetery. Members of the Villages Woodworkers Club and other villagers were instrumental in getting the new displays created.
We are recognizing the 4 individuals that are interred here at Florida National Cemetery, as well as all those Medal of Honor recipients in the past or present. This is an honor for us to be able to do this today and just give recognitions for those acts of bravery. There were already 3 displays that have been on station here at our Public Information Center. When our 4th Medal of Honor was interred here in November, our volunteer group reached out in order to create a display. So not only the frame, but because of the limitations that we had in the Public Information Center, also a new format needed to be done. And that is where this easel came from. That way it gives us the flexibility not only to display and honor those Medal of Honors that are interred here at Florida National Cemetery, but it also gives us the flexibility of movement within that space.
We have created a display for him, just like we had for the other 3. And we thought it was fitting that it would be presented on National Medal of Honor Day. We had to create some structures for these 4 displays to sit on. And we went to the village's Woodworkers Club, and they have created masterpieces. Anybody we talked to wanted to be involved. Anybody. They said it was special for them. I think it's going to be really special because some of the family, the daughter of the most recent burial here, and her family.
The support that we have from the community, from our volunteer groups, from independent organizations, veteran service organizations is amazing. Florida National is really a hallmark here in Bushnell and in this area, and the support that the community gives us is just exceptional. I could not be any more prouder of being part of not only these organizations, but also the people that support us.
All of the frames were paid for by the Colonel Philip C. DeLong Marine Corps League Detachment 1267, and the wooden easels were made by members in the village's Woodworkers Club. Village of St. Charles resident John Scott helped to make the easels. He is a veteran and says he has an appreciation for the work they did and was happy to take advantage of this opportunity. For the remainder of this show, we're going to share stories about some retired service members living in this patriotic community. Corky Eck, Gary Ho, and Bob Schaefer remember what it was like returning home from Vietnam with no welcome home parades. Last year, this trio of Army veterans learned they actually served during the same time and were stationed in the very same place.
So probably somewhere around 12, 14 is the day that he had the hat in the back of the Corvette when I saw him over at Starbucks. And then I just asked him, you know, when just general conversation, were you in Vietnam? And he said, yeah. And I said, what year? He said, 68, 69. I said, me too. And he said, Fayette? I said, me too. So LZ Betty never came up until Gary moved to town here about 7 months ago. And in our first conversation, when I went over to see him and I saw that he had won the Purple Heart, then we started our conversation and he said, well, LZ Betty. So the next day I'm down at Starbucks. I said, well, he was on LZ Betty. And Bob says, well, so I was on LZ Betty. So now I got the 2 of them connected up at the same place, same time. Yeah, I never met him until today because I knew that all 3 of us were same time, same place. And, you know,
by the grace of God, we're sitting here.
And here we are in the villages.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's the real story. That we served essentially in the same task force at the same time and never knew each other until we got together.
Until we got here.
Today.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
The miracle of the villages.
Yes.
Yeah, miracle of villages. Yeah,
Really.
yeah.
Right.
I think when I got with Gary, and then I started looking at some of the things that he had about the unit that I served in, that were written in books about that his folks wrote about. Then I thought a really close connection here because I said there we were, you know. And then I started looking up in my books and find the same thing. That's who we were working with when my write-ups on the 717th Cab.
We were all very well trained in jungle fighting before we went to Vietnam.
Yeah, we did AIT before we went over.
But by the time when we got to Vietnam and the Tet Offensive began, it was like World War II style fighting from one building to another.
I guess just knowing someone else that shared the same time frame and the same things. You know, it was difficult when we all came back. We all suffered a lot because they said, don't wear your uniforms back, you know, because you're going to be
spit on you.
You're going to be a child killer. So we didn't wear our uniforms back. And I know when I talked to my...
Actually,
did you wear yours?
I was in recruiting for a year after.
Oh, okay. So you had to wear yours.
But today, these kids coming back today, but we're taking care of them.
Yeah,
and it's the way it should be.
Yeah. Why does it happen? Is there a purpose out there? I don't know. But it's a good feeling. It gives you a good feeling. You know the other guys you know have been there too, been through the same stuff. I guarantee if I needed something tomorrow morning, I could call either one of these guys to be there.
Absolutely.
You just know it.
This trio always has each other's back. Corky and Gary golf together, while Corky and Bob also share a passion for classic cars. Up next, we're going to turn our attention to female veterans.
The revolutionary Power to Golf Club requires no swing to hit golf shots from 50 up to 225 yards. That's right, no swing. It's empowering golfers with physical issues to continue enjoying time golfing with friends and family. With just the push of a button, the easy-to-use Power to Golf Club launches shots down the fairway and onto the green. Whether a physical issue or just want to join in on the fun, the Power to Golf Club is for you. Visit online, powergolfclub.com.
Central Florida, the only name you need to know for a great used car is Jenkins. We take in trades from all over the state, so we can offer you access to over 1,500 quality pre-owned cars and trucks at every Jenkins location. Every one is fully inspected and reconditioned to our highest standards. Plus, we've got finance plans for everyone. Looking to sell? You'll get more at Jenkins. Get paid on the spot, even if you buy somewhere else. So if you're buying or selling a pre-owned vehicle, the only name to know is the Jenkins Auto Group.
June 12th is recognized as Women Veterans Appreciation Day. On that date in 1948, then President Harry S. Truman signed into law the Women's Armed Services Integration Act. On that date last year, the Tri-County Women Veterans gathered at Belle Glade Country Club to celebrate the special day.
We started out in the Revolutionary War, helping out in the war, and all the way through World War II, women who served were not identified as veterans. It wasn't until 1948 President Truman signed a proclamation declaring us military veterans. And so that's what we're celebrating today. Long overdue, but now we're celebrating. I wasn't retired from the military. I only served one term, and so I didn't think that I was really a veteran. So I joined the club with my friend who did retire from the Navy and found out that there were lots of people who had short service lengths. And one thing that everybody always says is if you raised your hand and swore the oath, you're a veteran, whether you were there for one day or for 30 years. So when I participate with all of these women, it just makes me a lot more proud of the service.
Women in the military today have many, many opportunities that we didn't have, but the women here today served in all branches of the service. They've done everything possibly all the same as the men did, except they weren't in combat in many cases. But it's nice to see the camaraderie of the women get together, discuss their service, their jobs, what they did, their family life, the sacrifices they made. It's so important that we see that and recognize it and appreciate it for what it was.
I think there's over 8,000 women veterans in the Tri-County area, so we just need to get the word out and have them come and join. So if anyone's watching this and they would like to join, we have a website, tricountywomenveterans.org. I know that's a long thing to type in, but there is something on there for membership. The club has no dues. We meet once a month at the third Monday of the month at Palmer Country Club.
Betsy Nolan even read a proclamation from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis declaring June 12th as Women Veterans Appreciation Day. Marie Bogdanoff started Villagers for Veterans, a nonprofit that aims to help veterans in a variety of ways. That group was recently approached with the idea to take over ownership of an unused transitional home in Fruitland Park, which the group has called Ashley's Cottage, to help homeless female veterans. This transitional home and one being built in Eustis are both named in honor of First Lieutenant Ashley White Stumpf, who was killed during combat operations in 2011 in Afghanistan. Her mother, Deborah White, was at the ribbon cutting Saturday.
One thing that Ashley's mom, Deb, said to us is that she's honored that we have chosen Ashley to represent this house because she knows that her daughter will never be forgotten. It humbles me that this organization, Villages for Veterans, saw the need and just didn't continue to talk about the need, but went ahead and formulated a plan to put this into action. So many people have tried to make sure that we have been thinking about all the aspects of how to help our women veterans. So the office space that we have will have 3 computers that they can utilize to do their interviews, or they can write their resumes, or they can do their homework. So we already have that space taken care of, that they can go in a quiet place. It's not a part of the house, it's adjacent to it. But I think that's the best part, is that we have tried to show them where and how they can get their help.
So Saturday was the culmination of 4.5 months of nonstop work with all our amazing volunteers. We basically took this house down to the wood and build it up again. It's really great to see it come to life like that, and to be such an adequate place where these women that are going to journey through here will find a space where they can really heal. And that's what it's all about, healing and moving forward. We had tons of volunteers from the villages, from outside the villages, volunteers that work with Habitat for Humanity, and of course Habitat was a big part of helping us put this together. And especially one amazing volunteer, Martha Cole, who is 83 years old, and she painted this whole house by herself from the inside to the outside and every nook and cranny. And it's wonderful to see the community coming together and rallying behind these women in support so that they can move forward and hopefully be able to pay it forward to other women veterans that are coming out. And as you know, homeless women veterans is the fastest growing demographic in today's military.
Female veterans are expected to move in by the end of the month. You can learn even more about Ashley's Cottage starting on the front page of Wednesday's Daily Sun. We'll be back with more news from Florida's friendliest hometown.
When cleaning your air ducts, it's important to clean the entire system. An air duct cleaning from Stanley Steamer removes pounds of trapped dirt, dust, and allergens from your home completely. A cleaning that improves your home's indoor air quality, keeps your home cleaner longer, and can even improve the efficiency of your HVAC system. We want you to have the cleanest and healthiest indoor air possible. So call for a free inspection today.
Stanley Steamer gets your home cleaner.
Rocking, dancing,
Shake your body, baby, do that conga.
relaxing, or romancing. Thank you for listening to Your Village's soundtrack, WVLG.
The best mix of music, the songs you love. Your Village's soundtrack, WVLG.
This past December 7th was the 81st anniversary of the bombing of Pearl Harbor. When that historic moment took place, it motivated a lot of men and women to enlist in the United States military, including Summerfield resident Lowell Buck Mary.
I did because when the bomb Pearl Harbor, it sunk all those boys and the battleships and everything. So I said, boy, I got to get in and enlisted right away. And I did. When I went into service, I told them I wanted to be a pilot. It was a C-47 transport, and we dropped paratroopers and whatever supplies that we thought the Yugoslav people could use. It was something I wanted to do, and I was lucky enough to be able to do it. But yes, I love flying.
Buck flew 24 missions for the U.S. Army Air Corps, and on December 8th, Colonel Paul Farino, a volunteer with Cornerstone Hospice and Palliative Care, was at Buck's daughter Diane Sadler's home for a special ceremony to honor Buck's military service.
It's just one more validation of the sacrifices that he did for 5 years. He gave his life to this country, and he's still around to talk about it and share his experiences, which is quite remarkable just by still being here.
Buck, who has won multiple senior games medals in bowling, credits the sport with his longevity.
Just try to be as healthy as you can. So I guess I'm doing pretty good.
You're a great hero as far as I'm concerned. Service hero and a bowling hero.
Buck received a special Cornerstone Salutes pin and a certificate, while a handmade quilt was given to Diane. The mission of the Quilts of Valor Foundation is to cover service members and veterans touched by war with comforting and healing quilts of valor. On January 24th of this year, members of the Khaki Quilters, a chapter of the Quilting Guild of the Villages, presented beautiful handmade quilts of valor to 5 deserving veterans.
My sister asked me about a year ago if I'd be interested in doing this, and most of us veterans, we don't want recognition. There's people that deserve a lot more than we did and stuff like that. But I know she enjoys quilting and wanted to do it, and she was part of this quilt group from the villages here. And I said, yeah, go ahead. When you see the quilt, you know, it's got a picture of me first out of boot camp and then basically near the end. And it's kind of like, you know, it's memories that, like I say, I'll never forget. I mean, I have a perfect place. And a lot of people will use theirs. Mine will probably hang on the wall. The trouble is you can't see both sides of it, and both sides are really beautiful.
Postage stamp fabric, and my dad was a stamp collector, so I said it's got a little bit of dad in it too. And my mom was a sewer, so I have followed in her footsteps. I think it turned out gorgeous. I'm very proud of it. I'm proud of him. It's just special to see the men honored because I don't think they really expect it. A lot of the veterans don't get that respect.
They do a wonderful job here. If you're not part of the quilting group and you quilt, you need to be part of the quilting group. These people do a tremendous job and outstanding for the people.
The first veteran to receive a quilt was Senior Master Sergeant Richard Meyer, who served in the United States Air Force from 1962 to 1996. L. Kirk Lewis was a colonel in the U.S. Army for 28 years. He says he flew the last airplane out of Vietnam and also spent decades working with the Department of Defense. Purple Heart recipient James Bradley was a sergeant in the United States Army.
It's funny, I think I tried to calculate, I was sitting in my seat. I think it was 55 years ago in Vietnam. And this day kind of makes me remember it, but I remember it in very positive and with humility that we all survived, the gentleman here. And the war was difficult, but I think we all can say we did our duty to our country, and we represented the United States of America very well.
The final recipient was Charlie Phillips, a specialist in the U.S. Army. He says it was humbling to receive the quilt, and he always felt like he owed this nation and the service far more than it has owed him. The Khaki Quilters have awarded more than 100 quilts of valor to veterans over the years. It's time now for a brief commercial break.
So one of the favorite things I experience as an audiologist is, this is going to sound weird, it's earwax removal. It's called cerumen management professionally. So what we do with the Villages Health is we use a device called the Irrigator. It is the coolest device. Most people call it almost like an ear spa, like you're getting a massage. It's body temperature water that comes out in a steady flow that almost feels like your ear canal is getting massaged. It takes seconds in most cases, minutes every once in a while. The wax comes out and you're feeling great. So you don't have to be a patient of the Villages Health. Our audiologists are specialists that take just about every insurance. We're happy to adopt you just for earwax removal.
Here is one final look at Florida National Cemetery.
Broadcasting and streaming live from Lake Sumter Landing in a small building with big windows near the water. AM 640, 102.7 and 104.5 FM. Your soundtrack to the Villages. WVLG Wildwood.